Welcome back to Money Mastery Now, the channel that helps you take control of your money, one smart habit at a time. If you want to master your budget, crush debt, and build lasting wealth, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Are student loans weighing you down like a second rent payment? If that question hits a little too close to home, you're not alone. Millions of Americans are carrying the weight of student loan debt every single month. And for many, it feels like that monthly payment is the one thing standing between them and the life they hope to start after graduation. You may have earned your degree, walked across the stage, and done everything you were supposed to do. But now, instead of freedom, you're facing a pile of debt that makes it hard to breathe, let alone move forward. Maybe you've put off getting married because you don't feel financially stable. Maybe you've delayed starting a family or buying a home. Or maybe you're still living with roommates or your parents, not because you want to, but because you can't afford anything else. This debt isn't just a number. It shapes your choices, your stress levels, and the timeline for your future. And it doesn't help that most people don't talk about it except to say everyone has loans or you'll pay it off eventually. But the truth is, carrying student loan debt can be exhausting. It can feel isolating, and it can hold you back in ways most people don't understand until they're living it. That's why this video exists. In this video, we're going to break down the real impact of student loan debt, not just the numbers, but the emotional and financial burden that comes with it. And more importantly, we'll talk about how you can manage that debt without losing your mind or your future. There are strategies, there are tools, and there is hope. You don't have to stay stuck. Let's get into it. Let's talk about the numbers. As of now, student loan debt in the United States has surpassed $1.7 trillion. That's trillion with a T. It's more than credit card debt. It's more than auto loan debt. And for millions of Americans, it's a daily burden that impacts almost every financial decision they make. Roughly 43 million borrowers carry federal student loans, and while the average balance sits around $30,000, many owe much more. Some are in six figures. Some have been paying for years and still see their balance growing because of interest. But not all borrowers are affected equally. The people who struggle the most are often those who didn't graduate. Imagine this: you take on debt for college. Life gets in the way, and you leave school without a degree. Now you're stuck with the debt, but without the higher income that usually comes with a diploma. This is one of the most vulnerable borrower groups in the country. Student debt also hits communities of color, especially Black borrowers, disproportionately hard. On average, Black graduates owe more when they finish school, and they often take longer to repay. Women also carry the majority of student debt, often while earning less than their male counterparts. It's a financial gap that compounds over time. This crisis doesn't just affect individuals. It has ripple effects across the economy. People with student debt are buying homes later in life or not at all. They are putting off saving for retirement. They are starting families later, avoiding risk, and contributing less to the economy in their prime earning years. And when millions of people are stuck in this holding pattern, it holds the entire country back. For recent graduates, even entry-level salaries often don't align with monthly loan payments. Many are forced to choose between paying loans, paying rent, or building an emergency fund. The student loan crisis isn't just a personal problem. It's a systemic one, and it's reshaping what financial adulthood looks like in America. But knowledge is power, and understanding the full scope of this issue is the first step toward navigating it more effectively. In the next section, we'll help you break down your own loans, what kind you have, what terms apply to them, and why that matters more than you might think. If you want to manage your student debt effectively, the first thing you need to do is understand exactly what kind of loan you have. Not all student loans are created equal, and knowing the differences can save you both money and stress over time. Let's start with the basics: federal versus private loans. Federal student loans are funded by the U.S. Department of Education. These loans come with protections like income-driven repayment plans, loan forgiveness options, and the ability to defer payments during periods of hardship. They're also eligible for programs like public service loan forgiveness and interest subsidies for some borrowers. Private loans, on the other hand, are issued by banks, credit unions, or other financial institutions. They often have higher interest rates, fewer flexible repayment options, and limited borrower protections. If you have a private loan, you're basically working with a lender like you would with a credit card or personal loan. They set the rules, not the government. Next, let's talk about subsidized versus unsubsidized loans. This applies only to federal loans. If your loan is subsidized, it means the government pays the interest while you're in school, during your grace period, and during any deferment period. That's a big deal because it keeps your loan from growing while you're not earning a full income. Unsubsidized loans start accruing interest right away even while you're still in school. If you don't pay that interest, it gets added to your loan balance. This is called capitalization, and it can quietly increase your debt if you're not careful. Now let's cover interest rates, repayment terms, and deferment or forbearance. Your interest rate determines how much your loan grows over time. Most federal loans have fixed interest rates, while private loans might be fixed or variable. The repayment term is how long you have to pay it off, typically 10 to 25 years, depending on your plan. If you're in a financial bind, you might consider deferment or forbearance. Both allow you to pause payments temporarily, but there's a catch. In deferment, subsidized loans may not accrue interest, but in forbearance, almost all loans will continue to grow with interest even if you're not making payments. That means a pause today could mean a higher balance tomorrow. Finally, let's talk about your loan statement or balance sheet. Every loan servicer provides a monthly or quarterly statement. Read it. Know your interest rate, your total balance, your accrued interest, and your next due date. It's easy to ignore that email or letter, but understanding what's happening behind the scenes gives you power. You can't manage what you don't measure. Take a few minutes to log into your loan portal, check the details, and make a note of your current balance. You might be surprised by what you find good or bad, but either way, you'll be better prepared to make decisions. Coming up, we'll look at how all of this impacts your daily life and why student loans don't just affect your wallet, but also your ability to plan for the future. Student loans don't just show up once a month as a number on your statement. They show up in your daily decisions, in your plans, in the parts of life you delay not because you want to, but because you feel like you have to. Let's start with saving. Many borrowers find it difficult to build an emergency fund, contribute to retirement savings, or invest in anything when hundreds of dollars are going toward loan payments every month. Instead of saving for the future, you're stuck trying to stay afloat in the present. That long-term pressure can keep you from building real financial security. You want to save for a down payment. You want to start investing. But how can you think about compound interest when you're still paying off a degree from years ago? Student loans also have a major impact on life milestones. People are putting off getting married. They're delaying having children. They're postponing home ownership, not because they don't want these things, but because they don't feel financially ready. Some people worry about bringing debt into a marriage or being unable to provide stability for their future family. Even day-to-day independence becomes harder to achieve. Moving out, renting your own apartment, or relocating for a job becomes more complicated when a third of your income is already spoken for. Some borrowers continue living with parents into their late 20s or 30s, not because they lack ambition, but because student debt makes independent living feel out of reach. Career choices also suffer. Maybe you dreamed of working in the arts, education, or nonprofit work, but now you find yourself chasing higher-paying jobs, not because they align with your goals, but because they're the only way to make those loan payments. You lose the freedom to take career risks or explore meaningful work, simply because debt demands stability. And then there's the mental and physical toll. The stress of carrying student debt, especially when progress feels slow or invisible, can lead to anxiety, sleep problems, even depression. It weighs on your confidence and your energy. It can turn hopeful graduates into frustrated, burnt-out adults. This isn't just about money. It's about the cost of feeling stuck, of losing momentum, of constantly asking yourself, when will this finally be over? But understanding the impact is the first step to regaining control. Because once you recognize how debt is shaping your choices, you can begin to push back. You can start building a repayment plan that works for your life, not the other way around. In the next section, we'll look at specific repayment strategies that give you options, flexibility, and hope for real progress. So now that we understand how student loans can affect your everyday life, let's talk about something more hopeful, what you can actually do about it. There are real, practical strategies to help you repay your loans in a way that fits your financial reality. Let's start with the most common options for federal student loans. The standard repayment plan is the default option. It breaks your loan into fixed monthly payments over 10 years. It's straightforward. And if you can afford the payments, it saves you money in the long run because you'll pay less in interest overall. But for many people, the monthly amount is simply too high. That's where the graduated repayment plan comes in. This plan also spans 10 years, but payments start lower and increase every 2 years. It's a good fit if you're early in your career and expect your income to grow steadily over time. Just be cautious if your income doesn't rise as planned. Those future payments can become challenging. The extended repayment plan stretches your payments over 25 years. This lowers your monthly bill but increases the total amount you'll pay over time due to more accumulated interest. This plan is helpful if you have a high loan balance and need relief now, but it does keep you in debt longer. Now let's move to one of the most flexible options, income-driven repayment plans, or IDR. There are several versions of IDR, including Pay, Save, and IBR. Each one sets your monthly payment based on your income and family size, not your loan balance. This means your payment adjusts as your income changes, making it easier to stay current even if you're earning less. Let's break them down quickly. Pay, or pay as you earn, caps your monthly payment at 10% of your discretionary income and forgives the remaining balance after 20 years of qualifying payments. Save, which recently replaced the repay plan, also caps payments at 10% but includes more generous terms. For example, it prevents unpaid interest from growing your loan balance and may result in even lower monthly payments. EBR, or income-based repayment, is available for both newer and older loans and offers forgiveness after 20 or 25 years depending on when you borrowed. All of these plans require annual recertification of your income, so make sure to update your paperwork each year to stay enrolled and keep your payments accurate. Next, let's talk about Public Service Loan Forgiveness, or PSLF. If you work full-time for a government agency or a qualifying nonprofit, and you're on an income-driven repayment plan, you may be eligible for loan forgiveness after 120 qualifying payments. That's 10 years' worth. This program can be life-changing for teachers, nurses, social workers, and other public service employees, but the rules are strict. And paperwork matters. You must submit the PSLF form regularly and confirm that your employer qualifies. Now, what if you have private student loans? Private loans don't qualify for federal repayment plans or forgiveness. But one option to explore is refinancing. Refinancing means taking out a new private loan to pay off your existing one, ideally at a lower interest rate. This can reduce your monthly payment or help you pay off the loan faster. But it only works if you have good credit, steady income, and a reliable lender. A word of caution: never refinance federal loans into a private loan unless you're absolutely sure, because you'll lose all federal protections, including access to forgiveness programs, deferment, and income-driven plans. In summary, there's no one-size-fits-all approach to student loan repayment, but there are multiple options, and the right one depends on your income, your goals, and the type of loan you have. Up next, we'll look at some of the most common mistakes borrowers make and how to avoid them as you move forward on your debt-free journey. When it comes to student loans, the choices you make now can have a big impact later. And while there's no perfect path, there are a few common mistakes that can quietly make your debt harder to manage. Let's go through the ones you'll want to avoid. First, waiting too long to start paying down the principal. When you graduate or leave school, there's usually a grace period before your payments begin, and in tough times, deferment or forbearance can feel like a lifeline. But here's the problem: interest often keeps growing. Even when you're not making payments, that interest can get added to your loan balance, making your debt larger over time. If you're able to, even small early payments toward the principal can make a real difference. The sooner you start, the less you'll owe in the long run. Second, only paying the minimum each month and ignoring the interest. Minimum payments might keep you in good standing, but they don't always reduce your balance. In many cases, a big chunk of that payment goes toward interest, not principal. That means you can be making payments for years and see almost no progress. If you can afford to pay a little extra each month, even just $20 or $30 more, it will go directly toward the principal and help you get ahead faster. Third, missing your annual recertification if you're on an income-driven repayment plan. If you're enrolled in an IDR plan, you have to recertify your income and family size every year. If you forget, your payments could jump back to the standard amount, and unpaid interest might be added to your loan balance. Set a reminder, mark your calendar, or use auto notifications from your loan servicer to make sure you stay on track. And finally, not keeping up with federal loan policy changes. Student loan rules change. Over the past few years, we've seen new repayment plans, changes to forgiveness, eligibility, and temporary programs designed to help borrowers. If you're not checking in on the news or reviewing your loan account periodically, you could miss out on opportunities that save you money or even forgive part of your debt. Follow reliable sources, read emails from your loan servicer, and check your dashboard a few times a year. The bottom line is this: staying informed and proactive will protect you from costly surprises, and avoiding these mistakes will help you move forward with confidence, even if progress feels slow at times. In the next section, we'll look at real stories from borrowers, people just like you who are navigating their way through student debt and finding ways to reclaim their future. It's easy to talk about numbers, interest rates, and repayment plans, but behind every student loan balance is a real person, someone trying to make it work, someone who followed the advice to go to college, took on debt to get there, and is now doing their best to stay afloat. Let's talk about Sarah. She graduated 10 years ago with a degree in communications. She did everything right. She got the diploma, got a job, and started paying back her loans. But the job didn't pay what she expected. Rent in her city was high, so she moved in with roommates to save money. A decade later, she's still living with two other adults, still making loan payments, and still hasn't touched the principal. The balance is barely shrinking because of interest. She's not irresponsible. She's stuck. Then there's Marcus. He enrolled in college right after high school, but after 2 years, life got complicated. He left school without finishing his degree, but the loans didn't go away. He now works full-time in retail and earns just enough to get by. He's repaying a loan for an education he never finished and a credential he never earned. The job he has doesn't require a degree, but the debt still demands monthly payments. These stories are not rare. They're happening everywhere. In cities, in suburbs, in small towns. People are doing their best, working hard, and still feeling like they're falling behind. And this is why the conversation around student loans isn't just about budgeting. It's about dignity, about fairness, and about creating real paths forward that take human lives into account. In the next section, we'll talk about the emotional toll of debt and how to protect your mental health while managing long-term financial pressure. We've talked about the numbers, the strategies, the systems, but there's one part of the student loan conversation that's often overlooked, and that's the emotional toll. Carrying student debt isn't just a financial challenge. It's a mental and emotional weight that can affect how you see yourself and how you live your life. It can chip away at your confidence, It can make you feel like you're behind, even when you're doing your best. It can turn basic life decisions like moving out, switching jobs, or starting a family into ongoing sources of stress and anxiety. That weight builds over time, and if you're not careful, it starts to shape your identity. You start to believe you're not successful enough, not responsible enough, not moving fast enough. But let me say this clearly. Debt does not define your worth. Owing money is not a character flaw. It's a financial reality, and you are far from the only person living with it. If you're feeling overwhelmed, you're not weak. You're human, and you're not alone. Support matters. Whether it's talking to a licensed financial counselor, joining an online community of borrowers, or simply opening up to someone you trust, getting help makes a difference. You don't have to carry this silently. There are people who understand, who listen, and who won't judge you for what you're going through. Sometimes, just knowing you're not the only one can be the first step toward healing. So take that step. Speak up, ask questions, and take care of your mental health with the same effort you put into your budget. In the next section, we'll share a few small, practical habits you can build into your daily routine to help you stay in control. Even when the debt feels heavy, managing student debt isn't just about big decisions, it's also about small habits. Things you can build into your routine to stay on track, reduce stress, and feel more in control. Even when progress feels slow, let's start with one of the most helpful tools, auto pay. Most loan servicers offer the option to automate your monthly payments. It's a simple step, but it does a lot. First, it ensures you never miss a payment or face late fees. Second, many federal loan servicers actually offer a small interest rate discount, usually around 0.25% just for using autopay. That adds up over time. Next, track your progress regularly. Whether you use a spreadsheet, a budget app, or even a notebook. Take a few minutes each month to check in, log your total balance, record your monthly payment, and note how much went toward interest versus principal. Seeing the numbers move even slowly helps you stay focused. It turns your loan into something you're actively managing, not just reacting to. Another helpful habit is setting small, specific goals. Instead of saying, I need to pay off this mountain of debt, try something like, I want to pay off an extra $1,000 this year. That breaks the challenge into smaller, manageable wins. It also gives you something to celebrate when you hit each milestone. Finally, keep an eye on interest. Each month, note how much of your payment is going toward interest versus principal. Watching that interest shrink over time can be incredibly motivating. It shows you that your payments are doing real work, even if the balance takes time to move. These small habits might seem simple, but over time they build momentum. They help you shift from feeling powerless to feeling in charge. And they turn a long-term burden into something you're actively managing step by step. In the final section, we'll bring everything together with some encouragement and a reminder that your debt does not define your future. If you're feeling weighed down by student loans, it's important to remember this. It won't always be this way. Things are changing, slowly, but steadily, and there's real reason for hope. In the past few years, we've seen major shifts in how the government handles student debt. One of the biggest changes is the introduction of the SAVE plan, which stands for Saving on a Valuable Education. This new income-driven repayment plan replaces the Repay program. It offers lower monthly payments for many borrowers, prevents interest from piling up, and promises loan forgiveness after as little as 10 years for some low-balance borrowers. For many people, it's already making student debt more manageable. We've also seen waves of loan forgiveness, some targeted, some broad. Borrowers who were defrauded by schools, public service workers, and those who have been repaying for decades have started to see their balances erased. And while full cancellation remains a debate, the momentum around reform is growing. The larger conversation about the future of higher education is also evolving. More people are asking hard questions about the cost of college, the value of a degree, and the fairness of the lending system. As a result, new ideas are gaining traction, including tuition-free community college, expanded grant programs, and tighter regulations on predatory lenders. But here's the key. Policy doesn't change on its own. It changes when people speak up. So stay informed. Follow updates from the Department of Education. Check your loan account regularly. And when the chance comes to comment on proposed rules or contact your representatives, take it. Your voice matters more than you think. Student loans may be part of your story, but they don't have to control the ending. There is a future where education doesn't come with a lifetime of debt. And every time you learn, act, or speak up, you're helping shape that future. Thank you for watching this series. If it helped you feel more informed, more equipped, or more hopeful, share it with someone else who needs to hear it too. You are not alone, and your future is still yours to build. Let's end with this. Your debt does not define you. Your choices do. Yes, student loans are real. The payments are real. The stress is real. But so is your ability to move forward. You are more than a balance. You are more than a payment plan. You are a person with goals, with strength, and with the power to choose what happens next. You have tools. You have options. And you're not stuck. Whether you're paying off your debt slowly, looking into forgiveness, or just trying to stay organized, every step counts. Progress doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours. And if this video helped you feel more informed, more hopeful, or just a little less alone, subscribe and share it with someone else who's carrying the same weight. A friend, a family member, a coworker. Let them know they're not alone either. We're all figuring this out. Let's do it together.